live with depression. You can beat it. And nobody will ever come up to me and say, yeah, I've had a chest infection for the last 30 years. It's just part of who I am. But we say it about depression. Nobody says, oh, I've broken my leg. I've had it for 20 years, you know. Nobody says that. But we say, I've had depression for 20 years. It's just who I am. And I don't want it to be that way. It doesn't have to be that way. You can beat it. It is hard. It is a long journey, but it can be beaten. And what I've learned is that it's because of a number of small changes over time. It's small incremental changes that you make to your life that can make your mental health well again. And the reason, therefore, why I'm here sharing today is one of those big changes I had to make in my life was my perception and my understanding of what masculinity was, and breaking down my stereotype and my prejudice of what a successful man meant and what a successful man is. And that's been really important in my recovery. And hopefully me just sharing what I've learned will be helpful for you guys too. And again, if any of it is patronising, then I don't mean it to be that way. I'm keen to share with you guys what I've learned about how masculinity impacts me, and how if it isn't addressed, and how it isn't addressed in lots of guys, it has that awful impact on women, which I know so many of you will be aware of. You know, of all the suicides in the UK, 75% of them are men. And as much as that's an awful figure, it's not an accident. And when you look at the evidence, one of the reasons is because the way men approach mental health is they have a continual seek for quick answers. They want to find quick answers. And that's often due to a combination of socialized masculine norms. As guides, we have a DNA preference for practical solutions over emotional processing. And one of the big primary factors that I found was that guys have a fear of vulnerability. Guys will not feel vulnerable. And the reason for that is quite simple, because if you're vulnerable, you lose some power. And men hold all the power. And we're brought up to believe we've got all the power. And if we have to leave some of that power somewhere, we feel it makes us weak and it makes us vulnerable. And that's why we don't do that. Now, I've also learned that men do not tune into and recognise the importance of that full range of human emotions. And that was part of the problem that I had, was that I was this happy, confident guy, but then upset came along. Don't want to do upset. And then tears came along. Oh, big boys don't cry. And then some mild anxiety. Oh, it's not okay to feel even mild anxiety. And I hadn't tuned into it because I hadn't been brought up that a healthy person with good mental health is able to access a full range of human emotions. And, you know, why is that? Why don't guys tune into the full range of human emotions? Well, unfortunately, as a society, we still promote that belief that there's something such as male emotions and female emotions. You know, some are specifically female, some are specifically male. We still, and again, if you do this in your homes, I apologise, it drives me mad. We still define some jobs at home as, that's a pink job, that's a blue job. Oh, I think I raised it once with my wife just in conversation. I'm never raising it again. Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately, some emotions, therefore, are seen as weak. Some emotions, as I said, vulnerability, compassion, caring, are often seen as weak emotions, and therefore they don't hold power for men, so men avoid those emotions. And that's not me saying that men and women are the same. They're not. Absolutely they're not. And I believe passionately, which is why I'm here, that we should have full equality. Of course we should. But men and women are different. This is not me saying that they should be the same. Men and women have lots of differences, and we should celebrate that. But society is still teaching us, I believe, society is still teaching us and reinforcing us that men are brought up, should, could, and do hold all the power in society. Now, again, for those of you that have studied it, we know that power comes from patriarchy, the way society is run. But the main message that I've learned and that I really wanted to share today in my experience, which has got me through my mental health challenges, is that right from a young age, we don't teach men that being wrong is okay. We don't teach men that being wrong is okay.
And women don't know sometimes where to go to.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And the same with abused children after when they grow up. Because that's what I went through, and I can't talk about it now. And I'm 78 years old, and I'm trying to get over to MPs, to councillors, to scrutiny. And I want to do something before something happens to me, because I don't want to commit suicide. I want to carry on doing what I'm doing. I'm sorry, Ashley.
Don't apologise, Jean. Don't apologise.
There are a lot of women that went through what I went through being abused and needed help. And I got satisfaction from starting a rape crisis centre. So I'm pleased I started that when I was a borough councillor. And there's lots of opportunities for people to go to, like the Citizens Advice Bureau. And I'm sorry if I've butted in, but I needed to bring myself to what's going on. I'm sorry, but
Jean, there's no need to apologise at all.
Catherine wants to speak, and I think she's going to talk about equality for all. So let's listen to Catherine and Ashley and what he's saying, because some women don't know where to go to.
And I don't want to patronise you, Jean, but I and hopefully the rest of you agree, this is the place where you can come and openly share how you feel. And this is a safe space. And I think that's what today.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologise. There's no need to apologise.
People usually boo when I'm speaking, they don't cry. So it's a first. Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, where I was, that as we don't teach men, we don't teach young boys right from the off that being wrong is okay. And the evidence is, we see that every day. We see that every day around us. I don't know if any of you have seen the Louis Theroux Manosphere documentary. Full of these really, I found, irritating guys. who acted in a number of different ways. And then when their activities, when their behaviour was brought up by Louis Theroux at the end, yeah, but you said that, for instance, you said that you don't like gay people, but then you said you do accept the gay community, but you don't want your daughter to be gay. And he started getting really aggressive. He wouldn't admit that he was wrong. If you watch the news over the last 2 weeks, you'll see the Kanye West foray when he's not coming into the country because he's used anti-Semitic language. He didn't apologise. He didn't say I was wrong. He blamed his bipolar disorder. Apparently, if you've got bipolar, it makes you racist. We see in politics on a global level. Donald Trump, it was only a few years ago, he was found guilty of 30 plus indictments for making illegal payments to someone that was in the porn industry. He never said he was sorry. He said it was the fault of the court. The court was biased against him. We see locally in Northampton with the council, deputy chair, who said women belonged in the kitchen. Did the leader of the council apologise? No. Said it was political shenanigans going on. Absolutely. And even, again, on a domestic level, and lots of you guys are here, when men are the perpetrators of domestic violence, they'll all too often say things like, she pushed me to it. Mm-hmm. She knows what buttons to push.
Most women for speaking. I never come up to congratulate women that's spoken.
Because, Jean, I think, in my experience, I think guys who need power to feel better, therefore feel sharing that power, or therefore giving credibility to other people,
Exactly.
somehow challenges their own inner core. And I used to be that guy. I used to be that guy
always
too.
thank counsellors for doing what they do,
Mm.
but there is a limit to what they say to you.
Absolutely.
But gratefulness comes a long way
Mm.
from the residents that do speak.
Oh, absolutely. And so we do teach guys right from a young age that to be wrong is a weakness. And so what I've been taught now is the fundamental importance in my life as a guy of taking responsibility for my own mental health and not to blame someone else. You know, when I was poorly, a lot of mine was I just wanted my wife to help me. I just wanted someone else to take care and to sort that for me. And that was never going to happen. And it neither should have happened because it wouldn't have helped me get through. But what I will say is that guys like me that realise this after a good amount of therapy and a good amount of help are still in the minority. There's far too many guys that still live in that toxic male environment. Yeah, that's okay. Hi there. Come and grab a seat. And I would say that, again, you know, I want to be careful how I talk about this, but I believe that the work of the feminist movement has been revolutionary and it's changed so much. But if we're going to measure the success of equality and the success of how we've changed things, even if we base it, I don't know if any of you have ever read the great Female Unit, Germaine Greer, it's 55 years old, that book, is that there's an argument that the patriarchy today is as strong as it's ever been. There are small changes, but it's as strong as it's ever been. And that's not because feminism has failed. Clearly it hasn't. It's moved mountains. But from the guys I speak to, men have just become more skilled at navigating around equality. And they just find new ways and more powerful ways to avoid dealing with that. And so, you know, part of my work is that I get guys to contact me and just talk. I tell them I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, I'm someone that's been through it and I'm a friendly person to talk to about it. But they'll often say, yeah, I feel like this. It's my wife's fault, my partner's fault. She doesn't understand me. And I'll say, well, what do you mean? I say, well, and I hear this a lot. I believe in equality and I believe in women's rights. It's just gone too far, hasn't it? What do you mean too far? Well, those ultra feminists. It's just got too strong, hasn't it? And you hear that so much. You hear that so much. And I feel I've got quite a good retort on that now. Because I go, oh, okay, is that how you feel? So why don't we kind of, if you think it's gone too far, why don't we like put an 8 p.m. curfew on men? Why don't we say, you know, after 8 p.m. and you go out, you can't wear what you want, and you probably won't feel safe, and you need to look over your shoulder at everyone walking behind you. Why don't you try that? Well, no, you're being stupid. No, that's the experience. That's the experience of most women in modern society. And that still hasn't changed. So what have I learned on how I deal with that? And again, I don't want to get too much into my therapy told me this, because everybody's got a story, haven't they? But I very much learned around how as humans, especially as guys, we can operate in 3 different ways in our life. We can operate either as a child, everybody usually nods at that point, yeah, I know a man that acts like a child. We can act as an adult, or we can act as a parent. And that's actually something called transactional analysis by a guy called Eric Byrne, who's a psychologist. But what I've been taught to deal with my feelings in my life as a guy is where I need to be is an adult. And what's the adult about? The adult is about somebody that problem solves. The adult is about someone that says, yes, something might be going on in my life that's not good, that might be unfair, might not be my fault, but what can I do to put it right? What answers have I got? Unfortunately, society teaches men especially in times of stress, that it's okay to act as a child or to act as a critical parent. And so how many men do we hear? And I hear this so often, it's just not fair. She just doesn't understand me. It's their fault. It's not my fault. And again, I went into that when I first started experiencing anxiety and depression. I went into a child state. There was a big issue that about my how I was raised by my mother came up, but I was portraying that onto Sharon, my wife. I wanted her to look after me. I needed her to step up and be my mummy. And when the therapist told me that for the first time, that's quite a shocking thing to hear. You don't want to hear that. And so guys will often revert to that, or they'll revert to what is called a critical parent. They'll resort to trying to find authority. They'll resort to aggression to try and deal with their feelings. And so again, in a lot of the time, I meet with guys and I speak with guys and they tell me about how unhappy they are in their relationships. A common term that I'll use is, I deserve respect. I should get respect. Why doesn't my partner respect me? And I have to spend quite a lot of time with them telling them, you have to earn respect. Respect is earned. Respect is not a given. And unfortunately, and again, I know I'm preaching to many of those that have experienced such awful situations, that emotional and physical aggression from guys is incredibly damaging. But we know that the ingredients of aggression are fear and regret. And that fear and regret that guys have over their life or what they're going through too often comes out in aggression, and too often comes out on those closest to them. So I think in conclusion, what I'd like to say, and I've gone a bit over my time, I hope that's okay, is that I get that in 2026, we live in an ever-changing world. And that's for all of us. That's for men and for women. And I'm not here to diss on men. I'm absolutely not. What I'm here to try and do is to share with you what I've learned about masculinity and how masculinity, modern masculinity, can really get in the way of good mental health. Because men are not taking responsibility for their mental health. They're not. 75% of all suicides are men. Men are not taking responsibility for that. We know also that the way men are often being is not making them happy. And again, if you've watched it once already, if you watch it again, watch the Manosphere documentary. You've got these guys that are showing off about how they look. They've got white teeth, they've got big cars, they've got lots and lots of girlfriends. Are they happy? I don't think those guys are happy. You don't really see happiness in those guys. And so that is leading to a mental health crisis. But I've learned, and the guys that I speak to learn, that when you do suffer a mental health crisis as a guy, you don't take responsibility for it. You end up looking to blame others. You look at blaming other people around you, and that circle of self-destruction continues. So thank you for having me along today. I really appreciate it. I think what I want to end on saying is that I don't want to communicate that I believe that men shouldn't be confident. I think we should be confident. I think men, like women, should have power and should show power. And we can show authority and we can show strength. I think that's important that we do that. As a guy, I've learned that those traits mean that we are attractive to other people. You know, we want to see that in guys. You know, let's be honest, insecure, powerless, timid guys don't get much. I mean, I'm a big fan of Taylor Swift and she sings some great empowering songs, but there's a reason why she's getting married to Travis Kelce, who's this gorgeous looking American footballer with a chisel tip chin who's worth about $12 million. But until men realise and tune into and accept that being an adult with good mental health requires what I believe accountability, responsibility, and true masculinity, then I believe their mental health will continue to decline. And sadly, women will all too often experience the impact of that.
Just say one thing there?
You can, Jean, I'm done. So thank you very, very much.
What you complain to is psychiatry.
Mm.
There's not many psychiatrists within children, within adults, any adults, and this is what we need, but they are expensive.
It's a really good point, and I still see a psychotherapist. I see a wonderful, wonderful psychotherapist, and